Welcome back to Before the Bell on MMA Oddsbreaker. That's Nick Kalikas. I'm Frank Trigg. This week, UFC Fight Night 78. Mexico, they're finally back down there. UFC doing another great job of getting international acclaim by moving their good fights. Not necessarily a great fight, but good fights internationally. Obviously, the great fight was last week with Holly Holm and Ronda Rousey. That was a great fight. This one in Mexico, they get Gaslam Magny. Another good fight, but definitely not going to live up to last week's hype. Is this going to hurt the betting because so many people came in, assumably, they're coming out now, I bet home, I bet home. We haven't seen any tickets. Everyone's talking about how they picked it a long time ago. You and I both picked Ronda on the show. I said second round, late second round, the fight would finish. I was right when the fight would finish, just not who happened to win. Is it going to hurt the sportsbook this week now, having a card so close to such an epic event last week?
No, we might see a little bit of carryover, honestly. And right now, the action's not too bad. For a Fight Night 78 event that's in Mexico, you would think that, yeah, this definitely not going to compare to a marquee card like we had last weekend. But still, again, a little bit of carryover. And the good thing is about a crazy circumstance like what just happened. I mean, everybody's still talking about it. So UFC is still in the spotlight. Everybody's talking about Rousey and Holmes. I mean, they will continue to. So there's a little bit of a hangover from the event, but in a way, it's kind of good because I think the attention is still on the UFC. The attention is still on MMA. So I think that's not necessarily a bad thing.
And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, keep checking back to MMA Oddsbreaker. Of course, Holly Holm, it's come out that she's been sponsored by a supplement company that has a few illegal products into it. Not saying that she did anything wrong. That's just one of her sponsors. And we all know that sometimes you get sponsored by a company that isn't fully reputable. You don't have time to do all the betting. But keep checking back to MMA Oddsbreaker for more information on that as it comes out. Obviously, I'm a big supporter of Holly Holm. Always have been. Just didn't think she had it against Ronda Rousey. Was completely wrong. And now we have a new champ. Holly wins. Ronda loses. More importantly, the co-main event for this fight is Sanchez versus Lamas. Sanchez is always a great competitor. I just don't see how he's going to beat Ricardo, though. Do you?
Well, yeah, I do. I mean, he gets crazy decisions. I mean, we've seen it in the Pearson fight. We've seen it in the Martin Kampman fight. I mean, that's just two that stand out in my mind have been really bad decisions there, especially the Pearson fight. That was ridiculous. So yeah, I mean, he does. He has a tendency to win the judges over, and it's because of the warrior spirit that he does have. I mean, even look at the Gilbert Melendez fight. I mean, he picked it up in round three, and he actually had Melendez in trouble there for a second. After he got whooped on for the first couple rounds. So it's one of those situations, honestly, that I think Sanchez is just, like I said, a warrior. He's dropping out of 145. He's going to look to push the pace against Lamas. But you're seeing a high line right now because Lamas is the better overall technical fighter. He's got speed. He's got the wrestling. He's got the submission skill, everything. I mean, Sanchez has it all as well. He's a well-rounded fighter, but his stand-up game is not really where Lamas's stand-up game is. You know what I mean? His wrestling, again, is probably not up to par with Lamas's. Although that should be interesting because, again, Diego is dropping down to 145, so he could have a little bit of size and strength over most people in that weight class. We'll have to see how the weight cut goes for him. But as far as technical skill, I mean, again, it's basically the speed, the power, the ground game should neutralize each other out because Sanchez does have a pretty solid ground game as well. But still, he gets hit way too often. Lama should be able to kind of pick him apart on the feet as well. And he should at least win a competitive decision. That's what most people are thinking. But the line's a little bit out of whack, if you're asking me. I mean, I'm the one that opened the line, and I'm saying that because I know the public will just kind of they think Diego's done, and they've thought he was done for a long time. And it's hard to argue that. I mean, the guy's been around for such a long time, and he's taken, I mean, several hard fights for him, and it has had an impact on his career for sure. But the guy is a warrior. There's nothing else you can say about that.
So it sounds like to me this one is a dog or pass situation. You can either bet on Diego at the line that it is now, or just have to leave this one alone.
Yeah, right now it's minus 550 for Lamas. The comeback on Sanchez is plus 425. So I do think it's a dog or pass situation. And a small stab at Diego. I mean, like I said, that he is a warrior. I think one thing you got to consider, even though a lot of people aren't going to say Diego has a lot of knockout power, he does bring it. And one suspect thing about Lamas is that chin. I mean, he's been knocked out more than one time. So even though Diego isn't really known for his knockout power, he could clip that chin, and put Lamas out. So he has an outside shot of getting the knockout. And then on the scorecards, if he's competitive and keeps it close, I mean, he pushes such a high pace, you never know. He's a popular fighter. The crowd's probably going to be behind him as well. He could steal another ugly type of decision.
Is he winning decisions because the judges don't know what they're looking at, or is he winning decisions because the judges know what they're looking at? He just happens to be the higher volume guy.
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, I don't think honestly, like in the Pearson fight, I don't. I mean, that was so bad that obviously those judges did not know what they were looking at. I mean, you can't score that fight for Diego Sanchez. So in that situation, I'm not sure honestly, but I think it's a little bit of everything. They're respecting the fact that he does push such a high pace, but at the same time, the judges are just awful out there as well in most cases. So I think most of them are just not competent enough to get the decision right. To be honest with you.
Okay, moving on to the main event, Neil Magny and Kevin Gastelum. I haven't looked at the line, haven't looked at any of your show notes on this one. I'm picking Neil Magny to win this fight. I think he's got the better game all the way around. I think he's a little bit better cardio-wise, obviously coming from mountain time. He's got up there in the Midwest up there in the mountains, and actually has better cardio shape. I question as to whether or not if this goes to the ground, what's going to happen. But I'm picking Gastelum. With me just not knowing what the line is, am I going to be stuck in another situation where I just pick the dog again? Is this one of those deals where he's the underdog and I just like him for some reason?
I mean, Magny's been great, right? I mean, he's been getting better. I mean, look at that win streak he went on. I mean, he suffered a loss there to Maya a couple fights back, but I mean, that's respectable. We all knew that if it got to the ground, Maya, I mean, should sub most people, really. So I honestly took away from that fight when he did lose to Maya that his sub defense got better because Maya, I mean, you would think he would have had an easier time on the ground. I mean, he got the job done. He won by submission, but Magny fended off the submission attempts pretty well. So I think his ground game is getting better. And in most cases, he's able to get back to his feet or he's able to actually control the ground game in a lot of situations as well. So Magny's ground game is getting better. He has that length on the feet. He can be a very effective striker as well. So he's got a lot of great things going for him. So I don't blame you at all. And he's got the cardio edge. Now he has taken this fight on short notice. So I mean that comes into play, but he's always in shape. He's always in fight camp. He works hard. He's one of the hardest workers in the sport, from what you hear, and I believe that. I mean, you could definitely tell. But the problem is he's facing an outstanding grinder wrestler. Gaslam has a lot of power. I mean, he's got that knockout power on the feet as well. So he has several advantages over Magny, and that's why you're seeing a line. He's minus 300 right now. Gaslam is a comeback on Magny is plus 250 because the thinking right now is honestly if Gaslam wants to take the fight down, he should be able to take the fight to the ground. He should be able to control Magny, obviously from top position. Gaslam has an effective submission game as well. And again, on the feet, even though Magny might be a little bit longer and a little bit more technical, Gaslam has a little bit more power. So he could be effective that way. So he has some advantages for sure in this fight over Magny.
So I picked the dog again, but the line's tender enough for me to try to lay some on. So it's going to be dog or pass on this one, and I'm probably going to lay money on this one. The co-main event, I'm leaving alone. It's too big, and there's too many outside factors in this one from both guys. But with Magny, I'm gonna go ahead and put a little bit of money down. If I need to put him in a parlay, if I want to put this fight, not necessarily put Magny in the parlay, but in this fight, who would I put in my parlay? Would I go ahead and take Gaslam in this one?
Yeah, I would probably lean that way a little bit more so. You know what I mean? It's hard for me to believe that Magny can compete with the upper tier wrestlers. Honestly, at 170, and that's exactly what you're getting in Gaslam. I mean, right up there with Hendricks, right up there with the top tier guys. I mean, as far as wrestling that's kind of converted properly in the cage. You know what I mean? So I just don't think he's quite there. He's just right behind him, though. You know what I mean? As far as being able to compete at that level, but that's where I'm having my doubts. But one thing for sure is if the fight goes into round 3, round 4, round 5, Magny could start taking over, and he could steal a decision here as well. So it's very possible, and I think the later the fight goes, it definitely works out better for Magny as well. So at the price, it is kind of steep. At 3-1, is there really value on the favorite at this point? I'm not sure, but if you're forcing me to make a pick and put somebody in a parlay, yeah, I would probably put Gaslam in the parlay because I do think he's got enough knockout power on the feet that he could possibly catch Magny, and again, he should be able to control the wrestling.
All right, well, there you have it. It's another edition of Before the Bell. That's Nick Kalikas. I'm Frank Trigg. Another amazing week, and unfortunately, we have to get Nick out of here quick because some other promotions have changed their fight lineup. He's got to get the odds out for them immediately. He's going to go, as soon as we stop this interview, he's going to jump right back on and have 3 more hours of odds making to get ready for the tomorrow night's fights. So thanks so much, Nick, for taking a break. I know your wife is about to give birth, and she's a week away, but it could happen at any time. So if I don't talk to you again before the baby's born, congratulations. And we'll talk to you again soon, brother.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Frank. Take care.